Good afternoon, I'm Jay West, the writer-director of Razorblade Smile, Evil Aliens, co-writer of Pumpkinhead 3 and developing the forthcoming Doghouse with Dan Schafer. I'm here at the Screenwriters Festival 2007. I was fortunate enough to be invited by the kind folks here and do a talk about writing to scale, which basically was a talk about how to make your first low-budget movies really work when you've got very limited resources. I made my first film, Razorblade Smile, for £20,000, and basically the way that I did that is that I used locations which I had access to, basically like with my parents' house, where I'd shot all of my home movies on video when I was a teenager, so I knew the place inside out. And basically we used every single room in the house, the gardens, all of the surrounding locations. So basically the whole, with a crew of 8 people, we shot a feature film in a 3-week period and using 70% of that space as location. And that really kept the budget down. So for £20,000 we got a film which was then theatrically released in 1998 by Manga, and that's available on DVD if you want to check it out by Anchor Bay at the moment. And my next film was Evil Aliens, which was made for £287,000, and the central location of that was a farm under attack by aliens, and a film crew is there trying to get a story on alien abductions and stuff like that. They think it's all a load of bullshit, and they turn up and there's real aliens there, and it's basically a survival horror kind of splatstick gore comedy in the vein of early Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson films. And once again, I mean, it was done with a low budget ethos. We did 150 digital effects shots in the film, and all of those were done in my home. Basically, we set up our own little computer system. We had 5 computers strapped together in a little render farm, and we spent a year doing the digital effects. Basically, I had one CG artist who was a friend of mine who did all the 3D work, and I did all the compositing work, and we spent 1 year doing 150 digital effect shots, which normally, you'd had to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for. We did it ourselves. It took a long time, but we got it done. The film was then picked up and it's been released by Universal in the UK, and you can now get it on DVD. We had a cinema release, it's been released all around the world. So yeah, with low budget filmmakings, you have to keep the scripts. Basically, if you can keep them simple and you can keep them in like a central location, when you actually go to filming them, it actually means that you can scale, the script will scale to the budget that you have. If your script is too expansive when you've got a low budget, it's very difficult when you're actually the filmmaker to make all of those things work. So with the talk that I did at the Screenwriters Festival, it was very much about trying to keep your ideas, if you know you're only going to be able to shoot with a small amount of money, keep your ideas, basically in locations which you can have easy access to, and you can really work and maximize the script. And often you'll find that a script and the story could be tighter even though it's set in a smaller location. So really that was the emphasis of what I was saying to the folks here at the Screenwriters Festival 2007.
And it's about making a virtue out of the limitations then?
Yes, when you're working with smaller budgets, and if you're writing a script and all of a sudden it says like the world blows up, or a 5 million strong army marches over a hill, you probably are writing not a low budget script. So you have to make a virtue out of the limitations that you have, and therefore try and keep it more focused and keep it in a smaller environment where you can actually have access to do that. My next film is a project called Doghouse, and I'm not writing that one. I'm working with the comic book writer and artist Dan Schafer, who has written the script, and it's a great script. And we're going to be filming that towards the end of this year, so hopefully you'll see that maybe at the end of next year. Personally, coming to the Screenwriters Festival 2007, I've got to meet a lot of good people. There's people of all different levels in their careers. You've got like the writer of Gladiator here, and then you've got people who are just starting out in their careers. And it's a great atmosphere where people mingle and talk. There's a lot of knowledge being shared, and really, if you're a screenwriter, I think you would learn a lot from coming to this festival.
And have you done any business?
Well, I've been networking, and I've been meeting some very interesting people. I came as a guest speaker, so I came pretty much to share some knowledge. But I've met some great people, so maybe that will lead to business in the future. We'll see.